Observed on October the 9th each year, World Post Day is commemorated as the anniversary of the Universal Postal Union, which started in Switzerland way back in 1874. Now, the UPU was the beginning of the global communications revolution, introducing the ability to write to others all over the world. It's interesting to call it a revolution because the way we look at 4IR nowadays, but it certainly was. And to tell us a little bit more about this, we now have in studio the CEO of the South African Post Office, Lindiwe Kwele. Thanks so much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Peter.
So we forget actually that the post office and mail was such an integral part of society and continues to be that, even though perhaps some of us may not be sending letters every day.
Absolutely. And I think people, they only think about letters and parcel. I think there's more to the post office than just that. Right now in the South African context, for example, we play an integral role in the democratization process of South Africa. We roll out to date, we've rolled out more than 11.5 million addresses.
Wow.
Because the address rollout enables citizens to be able to vote. The address rollout, having access to your address, you can be figured so that you can be included from a financial inclusion perspective. Also, we do the textbooks delivery. We are also rolling out the set-top boxes as part of the DTT program on behalf of Department of Communication. We also do licensing for fisheries. You can access your money for the UIF, but also on behalf of Department of Transport, we do the motor license, motor vehicle license renewal. But we can also do third-party payments in terms of your bills for the municipalities, airtime, and every third-party payment. We are actually enabling that. But more importantly, the recent one being the grant payment to the more than 8 million beneficiaries in South Africa.
So are we saying that actually you're probably going to need to change your name from a post office to something else?
Government services, because we are the front end of the government service, and that's how we really view ourselves. We see ourselves as an exchange platform to enable movement of goods, of services, of messages, as well as the financial products. And the evolution of the global postal operations, there's a new migration towards the digitization of the process, because if you look at letter post, it's declining in terms of the global standards, and then the parcel is increasing because people are getting more and more into the e-commerce space. So as South Africa, we are not immune to that. South Africans are beginning to buy online, and then also from our partners around the world, because SAPO, fortunately, in terms of the Ecom Africa initiative initiated by the UPU, we are at the center of the operational readiness for e-commerce as a leader in the region. So we have to be at the leading edge in terms of adaptation to the 4IR revolution.
All right, so give us a sense of just how big the old-fashioned way of communicating, sending a letter in the post, it still is. You said it's declining, but how big is it?
It's still when you look at the post office currently, 65% of our revenue still come from the mail.
Wow.
So you need to retain and sweat that as much as possible, whilst we are also evolving with the digital transformation agenda. And contrary to the popular belief, people daily as post office, we process more than 3.8 million letters a day.
Wow.
300,000 parcels a day.
Wow.
So that is quite a lot. We have 26 hubs. We have 2,610 branch network to actually ensure inclusivity, because ultimately it's about us being able to reach those that cannot be reached in the deep rural areas. And SAPO is the only government infrastructure that you find in the outskirts of our urban areas, basically.
Wow. So on World Post Day, what's important to South Africa Post Office?
I think what is important is to really assure South Africans that you're not a dinosaur. That we are mindful that we have to modernize, that we have to align ourselves with the digital world as part of the fourth industrial revolution. We need to move from the third to the fourth industrial revolution. We need to start leveraging of our capabilities in terms of big data. As you know, as I've shared with you, the fact that we have this data of addresses in South Africa, the number of beneficiaries that we have, the people that we're servicing in terms of the accounts, the depositors on the Postbank side. So all of those issues combined, the state could actually leverage and monetize and be able to do market intelligence in terms of that particular data. So we see ourselves really as the front end of the government, and with the advent of the grant payment system, we are able to integrate with Home Affairs system to do a validation of your identity. So I think for me it is a start, but also appreciating that the demographic profile of Africa as a whole, as a continent, if you look at our demographic dividends, it's basically youth. More than 65% of our continental population is young people. So we need to start responding to the needs of the youngsters who are techno-savvy. So others, they don't want to physically come to the post office. We need to make sure that they can actually engage and transact with us online. You know, self-service. We also need to make sure that we're creating platform to enable and catalyze economic development. Hence, some of these new digital initiatives that we're coming up with as our response to the digital transformation agenda.
Gosh, we're starting to wrap up now, but I suppose it's really difficult to look 5-10 years into the future.
Absolutely.
But what's your gut feeling about what your business is going to look like?
Our business will, it's about combination of physical as well as automated service. So we're not going to get rid of people, because the two.
Will these post boxes still be there?
Post box will still be there, but there will also be digital post boxes.
Okay, right.
And then also most of the physical world will actually migrate into a digital space. So we need to also elevate and amplify our virtual post offices. So it's about the ability to transition into the digital space, utilizing the omni-channel platform to enable both e-commerce, but to also enable people to renew their post boxes online,
which
without
is what
having
I do,
to
by
come
the way.
to the post office.
All right, last and very important question. Where do you still get letters from children to Father Christmas to the North Pole?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think for me, I mean, another interesting thing that I've just discovered through my interaction at the UPU level in China, because you know how big the population is in China. The people who are interested in the philately space is young people between 16 and 19.
Exciting.
And in South Africa, we're not seeing more and more interest in that regard. And we are saying perhaps let's migrate that to the digital space. You could have young collectors building that philately community as a stamp collector and everything. But they still do at a very smaller scale. And we still see schools also using it as a project for youngsters to interact and send letters home. But I think for me, Peter, what is important is that we've really ring-fenced. We've done a business process re-engineering to enable operational efficiencies in our branch network in order to make sure that there are quicker turnarounds, so that Peter will get his parcel on time, and then there's integration between international postal system plus the domestic postal service to enable that integration and seamlessness. But more important, we've also incorporated the SMS notification so that you can be able to track your parcel from cradle to your doorstep. Absolutely. So the future is looking bright. It's not as doom and gloom.
All right. Well, wonderful story. Happy World Post Day.
Thank you.
We wish you the best of luck in the new era.
Absolutely a pleasure. Thank you so much for having us.
All right, so that's where we're going to leave it for the time being. World Post Day today. I wonder if you collected stamps when you were a kid. I used to get so excited getting letters from other parts of the world. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have more for you as we continue to tell your story.